News Channel 9, Weekend at 11.
Good evening. I'm James Gaddis. We begin tonight with new developments about the surviving suspect in the Boston bombing. Johar Tsarnaev is now awake and is now responding to some questions in writing. The 19-year-old is reportedly being asked about other potential cell members and unexploded bombs. Tsarnaev had been listed in serious but stable condition and had been unable to answer questions since being taken into custody Friday night due to a gunshot wound to the neck. The bombing killed 3 people and wounded about 170. Now, the FBI is still collecting evidence from the blast site, mainly from the sides of the buildings and the bleachers. With more, here's ABC's Brandy Hitt.
At ABC News, Boston.
Well, a Lemoyne student watched the week in Boston unfold, knowing her father was rushing toward the danger as a member of Boston law enforcement. News Channel 9's Lee Isaacson shows us how she honored those who fought to protect Boston with her community college tonight.
Lee Isaacson, News Channel 9.
And the transit police officer who is severely wounded in a shootout with the bombing suspects early Friday morning, he remains in critical condition. Doctors are cautiously optimistic about the recovery of Officer Richard Donahue, Jr., who remains in the surgical intensive care unit.
He's received very aggressive care.
Donahue graduated in the same police academy class as Sean Collier, the MIT police officer who authorities say was killed by those 2 brothers. Well, tomorrow, runners across the country will take part in a national movement to honor the victims in Boston, and Central New Yorkers will be part of it. A Boston Strong Syracuse run is set for 6 p.m. at Onondaga Lake Park. Meanwhile, other runs will take place in cities like San Francisco, Denver, and Buffalo. Susan Brilla of Liverpool learned of the effort online and wanted to make sure runners in Central New York would have a chance to come together, run, reflect, and say a prayer for those in Boston.
You know, just find peace with it, maybe. I know it seems silly, it's just a run, but we're runners, sometimes it's what helps.
Again, the Boston Strong Syracuse run is set for 6 o'clock tomorrow at Onondaga Lake Park in Liverpool. Runners can meet by the Salt Museum. For more information on the movement, just head to 9WSWire.com and look for this story. New information now about a house fire in Manly, as we first told you about earlier tonight. Parts of Kirkville and Fremont roads are back open right now as firefighters have cleared the scene. Fire started around 5:30 after a 911 call came in for a kitchen fire that quickly got out of control.
There was smoke and flames visible.
The roof collapsed during the fire, in which 2 adults, 3 toddlers, and 2 infants were able to escape before firefighters arrived. Traffic alert tonight. The West Street exit ramp from 690 westbound in Syracuse is closed at this hour as cars are towed from the scene of a head-on crash. Police say one of the drivers was headed the wrong way on West Street when it hit another car at about 10 o'clock. Both drivers have minor injuries. Tickets are pending.
Now, a first look at Central New York's most accurate forecast.
And we'll be talking about that more in the full forecast. James.
All right, thank you, Julia. Well, a Subway restaurant on Oswego Road in Liverpool will be closed for at least the next day or so a wall can be repaired after a car hit the building this evening. We're told the young driver pulled into a parking spot and backed up to straighten the car out. When he pulled back in, he hit the gas instead of the brake and hit the building. Luckily, no one was hurt. The town code enforcement office has to give the okay before that restaurant can reopen. Coming up on News Channel 9, it's one of your stories. After a temporary fix lasted just a few days, the city of Syracuse has a plan to permanently stop the flooding on Armstrong Avenue. Plus, why police are on the lookout for this man. That and more after your Storm Team forecast. Stay with us.
You're watching News Channel 9. Now, Central New York's most accurate forecast.
Welcome back. 11:12, 36 degrees. We're trying to do a little bit of research on the Lyrid meteor shower. So we went to a source that you probably would tell your kids not to. We checked Wikipedia, and I guess Lyrid is
it's a musical instrument. It's a harp.
Orpheus's harp in Greek mythology.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, hey, look it up.
I'm glad you learned something new today, James.
Now you know. 36 degrees. We're at least we're above freezing, but tomorrow morning that may not be the case.
Yeah, we could get into the mid-20s tonight. So if you do want to check out that meteor shower, rain come Sunday, James.
All right, thank you, Julia. Syracuse police are on the lookout for a suspect they say robbed a 7-Eleven, the 1100 block of North Salina Street. At about 4:20 this morning, police say this man, a black male wearing dark clothing, entered the store and bought something. When the clerk opened the register, he jumped over the counter and stole cash and cigarettes. The clerk was not hurt. The suspect was last seen running on Danforth Street. If you have any information, call Syracuse police at 442-5222. Still to come on News Channel 9, a new exhibit opens in Syracuse to benefit the family of a little girl who was involved in a brutal crime last month. We'll take you inside the Museum of Young Art. That's up next.
This is News Channel 9.
On Syracuse this afternoon, a fundraiser for the family of Lori Bresnahan, the Liverpool librarian killed near Great Northern Mall last month. The event at the Museum of Young Art showcases artwork from Liverpool students. Bresnahan and the museum's founder were friends. A small portion of the proceeds will go back to the museum, while the rest benefit the young girl who was with Bresnahan the night she was killed.
I think it's important.
You can stop by the Name the Moon exhibit at the Museum of Young Art through June 30th to make a donation. Now, to continuing coverage of one of your stories, some residents on Armstrong Place in Syracuse may soon have a fix to a problem that's been plaguing them for 3 years. Near constant flooding. They believe some illegal dumping by the owners of the former Cafe Garzone, which sits behind them, changed the landscape and water table. Last week, the city came to the rescue with a temporary fix, but that water soon returned. A permanent solution, though, is in the works.
And the city has come up with a plan. They've done drilling over there, and they have a feasible plan of putting in a retention pond, which should alleviate this problem for all of us.
The pond would be funded as a county Save the Rain project. Mayor Miner still needs to approve the plan. Then the Garzone family must approve the city taking over some of its property. Next in sports, the Crunch learned their seed and opponent for the first round of the Calder Cup playoffs. We'll have that up next in sports.
And Tampa Bay will introduce Darrelle Revis tomorrow at noon.
You know, this will go through, and they play week 1. Jets, Tampa.
That will be a very interesting opener, but it will also be interesting to see what the Jets do now because they have the 9th overall pick and the 13th overall pick in the draft on Thursday.
Sanchez starts over-under on the number of picks Revis will have. 6? 7? All by himself?
Under 6.
Under 7, maybe above, maybe 2. Weather-wise, how are we looking at?
I never have anything to contribute to this conversation.
What's your over-under on the Revis interceptions?
My over-under on the high tomorrow is 68 degrees. There you go.
All right.
I don't know if that made any sense. But you know what? Tomorrow, low temperatures are going to be really cold in the morning. You guys are just laughing at me. Lows in the mid-20s. That means possibly record-breaking lows. Then it'll warm up during the day as we have lots of sunshine. We will get some cloud cover for Tuesday and rain on Wednesday. Continue to laugh. Thank you, guys.
Good night.